Yeah. Hi Bun, hi Vex, hi Lurkers, welcome in. We are here for some more UFO 50 bingo recap. Not gonna lie, I didn't really have time to actually read the C tier recaps this week, so we're gonna be winging it unless I can pull them up on my phone or something here. But in the effort to not fall behind, we're gonna go ahead and do these recaps. And then I'm going to treat myself to a little bit of Pokemon later, because apparently it's been 3 months since I did my run last time, so... so starting off, we have Vanilla versus DDG. Let me pull this window. Vanilla was able to pick up the 8-7 majority win. Just looking at the board, it looks like the middle row bingo is the main bingo thread of this match. And I imagine was... No, actually, I guess this would probably be the main bingo of the match, but it ends in a pretty tough line. Let me see... Okay. Yeah, I don't think we have a recap for C tier until about halfway through, so that's fine. So starting off, we get the immediate Center Square Quibble versus Double Synergy Pilot Quest. Unfortunately, both these pilot quests are kind of really long-term pilot quest goals, unless you get super lucky. We will actually see an incredible clear of that pilot quest goal when we do the A tier recap later this week, because it happened in Cosmoing versus Keeney and it was super hype. But most of the time, that's a pretty big long-term goal for that one. So, after a little bit of Quibble Race into Pilot Quest, Vanilla does hop into Mooncat to attempt to race the square, but it's basically as DDG marks it off. So I think at this point he's just staying in to get a gift or potentially a gold disc or a boss or something. Gold disc doesn't actually super help on this card because it is Cherry does 3 games on this card. But then we see a pivot into Paint Chase versus Seaside Drive. Going through this game, just looking at the board, it seems like the main bingo threat is DDG's column 5 bingo, which seems to form throughout the game, but unfortunately has some pretty tough goals to close out on. Pilot Quest very hard can sometimes be just sometimes not really doable, and sometimes requires very intense game knowledge to pull off with the resources you're actually given, at least during the bingo match, I guess. And then, Cherry does 3 games on this card has been a hard goal to complete this season because some cards just don't light up super great for it. Even looking at this one, Magic Garden is a pretty clean, quick Cherry. But then after that, you're Cherry and Fistel or Camp 1 or Star Wasper, I guess. Or if you really want, I guess Nightmare's probably the better one, right? Because it's 60% also, but either way, a tough board for Cherries means that this bingo line being pushed, and the column 5 is most likely gonna be just for bait. Since we do have 10 games to recap, I'm gonna probably skip around a little bit quickly in these, so excuse me if we're not recapping with quite as much detail as some of the other ones. But if you would like to help out with C tier recaps, if you happen to be in the tier and want to, or you're already watching every game or whatever, we are accepting field. I think Winterbit called themselves the Field Scout for it, and I thought that was cute. So really, just anyone who can watch bingo matches and log what's happening and stuff is super helpful for these. So Otherwise, we're we're gonna recap them, but I would have to do it live while recapping stuff, and I may miss stuff. So it just helps to have it from like the sources directly, you know. So as DDG goes up 3-1, we do have Vanilla starting to work on Night Manor's 60% items collection. Thankfully, even if you're not going for the gold or cherry or anything, just collecting items in the house is pretty fast. I forget exactly how far you have to go in. I haven't actually routed this out myself. But 60% is pretty generous, and especially if you're doing anything remotely close to the cherry, you'll have it like pretty early in. I forget how high the percentage goes on the gold disc route specifically, but I know that cherry gets close to like 90% of the items without the journal entries and stuff. So, and also Night Manor is just a fast game because everything's like right on top of each other. And even though you do have to do things in kind of a linear order, it's a pretty fast linear order when you know where to go. So DDG up 4-1 now. We are going to see a head-to-head Night Manor. Both players just rushing to collect as much as they can. Vanilla's pretty far along here though, so I suspect I'm not super sure what happened there, but it looks like Vanilla wasn't able to seat the percentage, but it does get it there. So, beginning to push the diagonal bingo, DGG starts to, I thought he was going to Belferi here. Still going for some quick squares that are on this board. Once we get farther into the games, and especially early in the season, players are still kind of trying to figure out like what goals they're comfortable going for and which ones can be done quickly. DDG now seeing the bingo threat of that diagonal is going to try to block it with Lords of Disconia. Destroy 2+ enemy discs in one shot is actually a pretty tricky goal. Can be done really quickly. Like, I've commentated a match where people have popped in and out and done it in like under a minute. But most of the time, it ends up taking kind of a while. So 4-3, both players are still just more focused on working on the spaces that they feel that they can do quickly. Lords of Disconia is unfortunately being a little mean to DDG, which does unfortunately happen with Lords of Disconia. Just giving you that. You're welcome. Yeah, it's kind of just been a stuff collector for a couple of weeks, I guess. You need to move stuff off of it. So unfortunately, Camp 2 is just as mean to Vanilla as Disconia is to DDG, and both players are unfortunately unable to get those goals and move on to some other stuff. About halfway through the match, both players definitely at this point are just trying to get some more spaces on the board and maintain the small lead. Looks like we have another review. And unfortunately, DDG marked that space a little bit early because I guess one of the courses wasn't cleared properly. So Vanilla going to use this time to start to activate teleporters in Pilot Quest. Potentially build up enough to return a ship part. I've seen that goal now done pretty quickly this season by people who are like much more comfortable in Pilot Quest than I am. Where you can kind of just hop into one of these dungeons, immediately clear it out, grab the part, and run back with like pretty standard, like just trying to go out into the wilderness routes. I think 2 of the 3 dungeons have a pretty fast quick kill from my understanding.
Sorry, that was loud.
It's okay. Love you.
I was simply trying to exhale. Love you too.
Sometimes you just have to exhale with a lot of force. I was a little surprised to see Vanilla leave that Magic Garden square on the board for as long as they did, but shoutouts to grabbing it pretty much right away there. And then starting to push her own bingo threat here, working on the same Lords of Asconia square that was giving DDG a little bit of their work. And DDG is now going to try his hand at returning a ship part. Theoretically, can have one of the dungeons show up like right away. I forget if orange is one of the ones that has a quick kill. I think most of these are on the resource guide now, so I should probably take a look, because commentating Pilot Quest is really interesting, but I admittedly have not caught up with the meta of it since people have gotten really good at Pilot Quest and are actually able to do some cool stuff now. I do remember this boss kind of being a pain in the ass, though. I think it's both the other bosses that you're able to cheese a little bit. This guy you just have to play legitimately, and is actually pretty hard from what I remember, yeah. So at this point in the match, both players are just trying to get the spaces that they can get. And coming up on the final 20 minutes of the match, Vanilla does jump out to a... Sorry, this is so blurry for some reason. Vanilla does jump out to a 7-4 lead. Can I just go to HD instead of 1080? Okay, thank you. Literally went from 180p to 1080p, and it's still fine, so thanks, YouTube. Gonna interrupt my own commentary here to thank everyone who has uploaded to YouTube, by the way, because the YouTube playback for these recaps has been miles ahead of what Twitch is. I guess, shockingly to no one, YouTube's a pretty good video platform still, at least in terms of like quality video stuff that you can watch. And being able to play this back at 4x because I have YouTube Premium is definitely very helpful. So I think at this point in the match, is Seaside even on the card? I don't think Seaside was even on the card. I think Seaside was just... Oh wait, no, there was. Just going for bosses, but DDH had already claimed that space. Bingo player unable to read a game that their opponent is marked challenge. Surprisingly easy to completely disregard a game once your opponent has claimed a space in it, even though it's still pretty helpful. So DDG was able to grab the Parbots, bring it back 7-5, while DDG does have enough time to theoretically go into another dungeon and clear it out here. Definitely going to be cutting it pretty close here, but if he is able to do it, then would bring it back 7 minutes in the match. I don't know how many spaces left on this card can be done in that time necessarily, but unfortunately just beating this guy with like the standard yo-yo and not having a blaster is pretty tough. I think more not having the blaster on that one is pretty hard. In the final minute or so of the match, DDG was able to grab that Disconia space, by the way. And Vanilla grabbing the 8 gifts on the card in the final minute to clean it up 8-7. So pretty tense back and forth with that game. Vanilla was able to just barely hold on to his lead for the match because DDG was starting to come back a little bit. But as the match hits 145, both players wish each other GG, and Vanilla picks up the win. So good game to both. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, so there are a couple of games this week that unfortunately do not have a VOD anymore that I can watch. Pilot is Newman. Hi, Maura. How's it going? So one of the games that we're not able to watch the VOD back for this week, just because it's not on Twitch or, to my knowledge, YouTube anymore, is Mezig versus Morzis. Morzis able to pick up an 11-8 majority win and a very lemon lime coated board, which I like. Just looking at the changelog here, Morzis was able to jump out to what looks like a pretty quick 5-1 lead, with Mezig eventually being able to come back with some pretty steady progress after Star Wasper, Onion Delivery, and Hyper Contender. Onion Delivery obviously theoretically blocking this bingo, although it looks like some of these goals were done much later in the match. Mezig was able to block all of the relevant bingos and bring it back within 3, but Morzis eventually marking off the cherry 2 games on this card space to clean up the board. And yeah, this looks like a pretty good cherry board with Magic Garden, Mortal 2, and even stuff like Hotfoot and Kick Club, if you're comfortable in those games. Or Party House. Although I haven't seen anyone ever come close to cherrying Party House and Bingo, so... Okay. So unfortunately I can't recap that match more than that. Apologies, Mezig and Morzis, but looking forward to your matches next week. So for the next board with a VOD, we have Goof versus Sunshine. Sunshine was able to pick up a 7-6 majority win. So let's see how it happened. And apologies, this isn't as like knowing what happens with these matches ahead of time, because I am kind of just watching this live with y'all and sort of watching and trying to fill in the gaps. But we have an immediate push for Strong Center Square and Seaside Drive Stage 2. I've mentioned in a couple of other recaps so far this season that kind of long center goals sometimes are not like bait, because the center square is still very powerful, but we've seen a couple of matches where players have jumped out to like a massive lead just because someone was going for a center square that was a bit more time consuming. the Seaside Drive goal does not count as that, in my opinion, because even though you got to play all the way through stage 2, still typically within the first 5 minutes, and with the value of the center square, it's definitely pretty worth it to give it a shot. And we do see Party House on Sunshine's side before I think he also sees how strong the Seaside center square is. Unfortunately for him, Goof is very, very far along here. He's just going to be able to mark this off. And on this board, looking at how powerful that center square could be, that bottom left to top right diagonal, if I was playing this board, would be something I'd rush almost like immediately. Because Porgy equipped the drill, Mooncat 3 warps, Valbrace 2 puzzles, and Amy are very fast. They are kind of knowledge heavy, I guess, but shoutouts to the full cutscene of Block Waller. Always a treat. Actually, both diagonals on this card are pretty good, especially if you're comfortable with the Waldorf very hard. I have noticed this season that Pin Golf has been a little harder of a bingo game, and I'm not sure if it's just because the gold set has gotten harder, or if Pin Golf is just hard to be consistent at, but Pin Golf actually, when we look at the stats later, is surprisingly low on the goals completed thing, and part of that might just be like sample size bias, like just the games that have happened to have VOD Sling don't complete as many Pin Golf goals or whatever. But I was surprised to see that Pin Golf is more of like a mid-tier bingo game this season compared to it being like top 5, if not like top 1 or 2 in the past couple of seasons. But with Goof starting to push that diagonal, I think Sunshine sees how powerful that is and does a good defensive play to go into Paint Chase. Unfortunately, gets the combo with these slimes. If you like boost into a slime, you do the red colored trail wherever you're at. And unfortunately, if you boost into a slime and then hit one of the like purple rebounds, you bounce all the way to the other side of the stage. And it is a very defeating feeling thing to watch as your own car is undoing all of your progress like that. So, during that time, Sunshine was able to block the diagonal, and meanwhile Goof is working on the route for the Rod and the Blood Sword and potentially just getting a gold disc along the way. Again, we see Sunshine going into Lazy Cops to beat Root around while destroying every barrel. One of my personal favorite goals to watch, but definitely a hard one to do if you aren't super comfortable with how the lawmen follow you around and stuff. There's a surprising amount of barrels and lawmen in this stage, but Sunshine's got a good strat of using lawmen to take each other out, saving on bullets, and just being able to take out guys as he needs to. So kind of interestingly in this match at the start, you can tell that both players are kind of just working on their own bingo lines. Sometimes in a bingo match, you'll have players like bouncing back and forth to be like super defensive and offensive in a match. And sometimes you just have a match where like both players kind of just are doing their own thing and working on their own bingos. And this definitely feels like the latter for this one. And we do see Goof trying to go for that double Party House synergy as well. This Party House goal, by the way, is a new one this season. where you have to beat a scenario of Party House with at least one of each guest purchased in the shop.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's a little bit harder than you would expect it to be
That
because
does sound hard because you have to like purchase extra trouble and stuff.
you got to purchase extra trouble. You got to purchase a bunch of units that, quite frankly, like don't do anything. Like in this one, this one, you have to buy greeters and werewolves and stuff, and you do have to buy another old pal and rich friend too. So you obviously have to make sure that you have enough room in the deck to be able to pull everyone.
Oh no.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about this.
It's a hard one. You'll have to do a Party House bingo board and see if you can do the Party House bingos. I think you'd be good at that, though.
I'll try it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I don't know if I could get a bingo, but I'll try it.
If you...
Oh, the cops came on!
Ba-doop, boop, ba-doop.
Sorry, this is like my one game I can comment on. And boy, do I have a lot to say.
Party House needs some good commentators, I gotta say.
Well, sign me right up.
Can do.
I'm always here to help with Party House.
Yeah.
Ring! I'm the girlie showing up.
Yeah. You little cutie. So, about an hour or so into this match, we are tied 4-4 with Goof having the tiebreaker, because he was able to...
me.
Yeah. UIRL. Also, Vanilla said that she liked that emote during the GDQ stream I saw.
I mean, it's a very cute emote.
Yeah.
Hand drawn by you.
Yeah, I like the hand-drawn style I accidentally came up with during the subathon. It adds a unique flair to emotes that I wasn't really expecting.
I love that, like hand drawn on paper.
Yeah.
With markers.
Yeah. So again, going for the Party House, which is proven to give these players in this match a little bit of trouble. Admittedly, this is a hard scenario to get tokenized for this. The scenario that you have to do for this goal is also randomized. So it can be any of the main scenarios from Party House. I think this specific loadout is pretty tricky. But I think Goof taking the right strategy here of just trying to get a really good house and deck first. And then just buy all of the units right at the very end. Because honestly, the fewer turns you have to deal with all of this extra trouble, the better. And during this time, Sunshine is pushing for what ends up looking like a pretty important space. Sunshine, now with that paint chase goal on lock, has a pretty scary looking column 5 bingo. Collecting 5 purple enemies from eggs, scoring 18,000 points. Both good impact goals, but mostly that column 5 with the purple eggs, a gift rush that Sunshine has made an alright amount of progress in. And then Valvrace gem puzzles could theoretically be a pretty fast push. Unfortunately for Sunshine, Goof is able to grab the gift space because he was just pretty far ahead on that one. Fortunately for Sunshine, the space advantage with that does push him above 6-5 with about a half hour left. Both players, again, given this Party House goal, a pretty solid attempt here. And as you get into the second half of these games, really in any tier, but especially in the more beginner matches, players are definitely just kind of trying to figure out the goals that they're comfortable doing in this time frame. This board in particular looks like it has a lot of stuff that does require a decent amount of practice to get quickly, and like while there is a resource guide the players are able to use, actually using a resource guide in the middle of the match sometimes is a little stressful, honestly. So definitely don't blame players for just looking around at what they can do. Best wishes, let's go. So at this point, just going for the aiming space and not actually going for that actual party house square. Definitely understandable. Meanwhile, Goof is about to block the bottom row bingo with beating Healing Sector with the tank color changed. Thankfully, Healing Sector isn't too far into Warp Tank. Like, you can access it after the first set, or the second set of rooms opens up, I guess. Because you need to beat at least 4 levels and then have that one be your 5th. But with about 20 minutes left in this match, there are still a couple of pretty quick goals that players theoretically could get at this point. So still definitely either player's game here. We do see Goof trying to race it all the way over. For those that don't know, you can make it like this, but it is unbelievably tight. And I think the intended strat is to just go over to the right and then warp sideways. No, we're starting to see, there we go. Just how tight it is without that. But eventually able to beat Healing Sector, tie it up again 6-6. And both players are just looking for what could potentially be a match point in this last 15 minutes. As we start to get a little bit into it, we do see that Sunshine is able to mark off Amy. Got just enough done in each of the games to be able to mark that off. And at this point, Goof would now need 2 tiles in the next 15 minutes to be able to win. So I think making the correct play that Waldorf is quick and on the board, and especially if you're not comfortable with the first couple floors of Valbrace, you can definitely get lost in that for a while. And the game ends 7-6 with Sunshine. So GG to both. Very well played back and forth game. That party house goal is definitely really hard, but both players gave a good attempt at it for sure. Okay. Next up, we have Crumble versus Parchment. Parchment was able to pick up an 11-5 bingo win with that column 5 bingo that players have been seeming to aim for this week. So starting off, we have what's always tense in a head-to-head Waldorf race. Waldorf's definitely a game that both as a player and a viewer is pretty fun to race, because like, obviously your skill in Waldorf matters, but also the game's randomly generated, so like sometimes when you get beat, you're just like, okay, I just got beaten, there's nothing I could do about it, really. And we do see that Crumble was incredibly close there, but just barely gets sniped on that. Parchment will be continuing onward to get a cherry here, or at least a gold, it looks like, yeah. So we see head-to-head number 2 of Crumble versus Parchment, this time in Cyberells. This time, thankfully, since Crumble had that advantage of the time spent in Waldorf's journey, was able to just get here way sooner and mark off that space. Parchment then immediately goes into Hyper Contender to Gold Disc as Rek or Sephi, choosing Sephi, which is understandable. Sephi's my main in Hyper Contender and is a very well-rounded character, so especially if you're a Sephi main, this is basically just Hyper Contender Gold Disc for a space, which also helps you get Gold Discs elsewhere on the card. And also, it's just a pretty quick and consistent game if you're comfortable with a character in Hyper Contender. And we do start to see Ninpek collect a coffee without ever firing a shot. This goal is surprisingly tricky to do because Pacifist Ninpek is pretty chaotic, as you might be able to see. I really like this goal, but this goal is definitely a pretty hard Ninpek goal. And Grumble doing a good job here of dodging everything, but even when you turn into the ghost, you're not able to fire anything, so that 1-up balloon just taunts you and goes away. And especially the second half of stage 1 can be pretty rude about where the shots end up lining up, so Alright, so after a little bit of hopping around, Crumble hopping into Camouflage to escape with 5 babies. Parchment, meanwhile, is able to pretty comfortably get through Hyper Contender and then work on Mooncat. Mooncat has a couple of interesting, helpful spaces on this board. The route that contains a Spear Thrower into Gray Spider can be pretty easily transitioned into the Green Egg for a Gold Disc. And then if you're doing Green Egg, either of the other eggs are like really fast to be able to get the Mooncat very hard. So head-to-head number 3 of this match, we see both players running for that.
Oh, I flipped this over and apparently turned on HBO Max.
Oh.
Because it has its own button.
Is that even an app anymore? I guess so.
Yeah.
I tried to load something.
It is.
Did they finally add the HBO back after everyone was like confused?
I think so, or I just never updated the app to not have it.
Wow, that was so close. I didn't even notice, but so look how close this Mooncat race was, as both players are entering the warp at virtually the same time. Parchment marks it off like a frame early. Crumble drops a very understandable no. And now with the threat of the column 1 bingo looming, Parchment either has to work on War is Bad or Overbold. This Overbold square is theoretically much faster because all you have to do is complete 1 round. Yep.
You know what I mean?
So thankfully for Crumble, able to pop into Overbold and pretty quickly get the square while Parchment is working on the rest of Mooncat here. And seeing the threat of that bingo, Parchment also starts to work on Avianos, or Tactics. This both advances the bingo that he's currently working on, and could also just switch over to survival mode to grab the other space. This appears to just be for War is Bad, though, based on where he's at right now. So Crumble able to block that bingo. Parchment concedes that line and then goes back into Mooncat to work on the column 5 bingo. Especially once Mooncat's taken care of, that bingo can be pretty fast. Then head-to-head number 4 of this match, we get Escape with 5 Babies and Camouflage Race. This is starting to advance that bottom row bingo that Parchment theoretically could be working on.
Oh, this is what the drum is supposed to look like?
Yep. And this ends up being a pretty close race just based on players' comfort in camouflage. Ends up having both players in 3 watchmen at the same time. Crumble just desperately trying to figure out where to go. Same for Parchment. Both players have the baby and are racing towards. So at this point, Parchment, realizing how close they are to the gift, is just going to go ahead and pick up the 30% in camouflage to do so. Especially once gifts are taken care of, that column 5 is starting to look really scary. And Crumble doing a good job of blocking the bingos as they pop up, but down 7-4 still has a little bit of work to do, unfortunately. Head-to-head number 6 of this game. This is a very, very back and forth game. We had a little bit of an in-peck race before Parchment quit out and decided to just go Wasper. At this point, Crumble is kind of just trying to still make sure that everything's blocked. Seeing gifts marked off, Parchment was fine with that, decided to stick in with Ninpeck, not knowing that Parchment was pretty aggressively going for column 5 bingo at this point. So we do see Parchment work on ants and get through ants. And then we see a tactics done with Crumble 3 waves ahead in Jungle Rush. Both players having a pretty decent setup here, but just making sure that they don't get accidentally rushed by enemies here. During this time, by the way, you can tell that Crumble's definitely playing this a little bit more cautiously and safely, whereas Parchment is kind of just rolling as fast as they possibly can to get through waves. So even though Crumble had like a 5 or a 4 wave advantage heading into this, Parchment pretty quickly made up some space and is only 1 wave behind. Does have 15 damage left to go, but is at the point where they have a little bit more solid of a foundation elsewhere. And we do see both on wave 7 at the same time into basically starting wave 8 at the same time. Parchment doing a little bit better of a job at actually upgrading like mid-wave instead of just between waves, which allows him to start to jump ahead here. Heading into wave 10, Crumble is still very slightly ahead, but actually starts the wave later due to all of the setup. So Parchment, if able to get through this, would win the match, and just barely marks it off in time. So unbelievably close. Great game by both players. There were like 6 or 7 different head-to-heads in that match. Very good job by both. Tough to stay in a match when you get beat on any races head-to-head like that, but Crumble did a good job of hanging in there, and Parchment did a really good job with the aggressive column 5 bingo that ended up having maybe the most type rock on race we've ever had in the league, so good job to both. Okay, so next up is another game that we unfortunately don't have the VOD for. Another game that I did want to recap, but I think we just lost to the sands of time already, unfortunately. We have Smo versus Firelion. Firelion was able to pick up a 13-7 majority win over Smo. And looking at this board, it just looks like players were doing a really good job of threatening bingos this entire time. So, so looking at the change log here, Smo did have the initial 2-1 lead before Firelion went on a 3-goal run, and then Smo went on a 2-goal run. So like about a half hour or so into the match, it was what, 4-4? Yeah, so 4-4. Unfortunately for Smo, at this point, Firelion was able to mark off 2 levels, 8 bosses. Caramel beat the egg, and Caramel scored 50k points within a span of like 10 minutes. And when you have that essentially quadruple mark in the middle of a match, it's pretty tough to regather board presence from there. And while Smo was able to make a late push, Firelion kind of just kept going from there and was able to get a majority win. So looked like a good game by both. Wish we could have reviewed the VOD for that one, but well played. Okay. So next up, I believe this is actually the end of C1, which is looking pretty good because that means we almost got through C1 in about an hour or so. I'll probably end up doing this last VOD and then taking a quick break, muting the mic and setting up for C2, and then we should hopefully be done with C2 about as fast. So for the final match of C1, we have Nitro versus Sleepy. Sleepy was able to pick up a 10-8 win over Nitro. I think I do actually have notes for this one, so let's get started. I think Nitro is logging their matches for us. Oh, that's Stumpus versus Leo, not... okay. Weird. Okay, so worth mentioning in the beginning of this match, very early on, Sleepy did complete that Mooncat goal, but is holding it for a little bit as they get a little bit more advantage into pin golf. Nitro, meanwhile, pretty infamous at this point in the league for their ability to hold and get a bingo out of nowhere. Has a tendency to complete goals early in a match and then will leave them unmarked for a bit while hiding where they're actually trying to make progress. So I believe they did get the Waldorf goal and are working on the Mooncat one now. And meanwhile, Sleepy is working on getting hole-in-ones and 3 different courses in pin golf. And if they want to here, Sleepy can theoretically be in here for a cherry as well. Getting the whole 11 hole-in-one is really nice. So it is possible, I guess, that Nitro actually didn't get that Waldorf square, just based on how quickly they marked off the Warp Tank one. So at this point, Sleepy has already gotten the pin golf goal and is just going to go ahead and hang in here for the cherry as well. Might as well get the early synergy for the cherry while you're already in pin golf. And meanwhile, Nitro is going to work on the rail heist top square to beat Foul Business with all chickens killed. So during this rail heist round, Nitro is going to stick in here a little bit longer for 8 levels using Good Spur, which is a pretty fun synergy that you don't get to see super often. If a terminal code is on the card, you get to use it elsewhere on the card. And getting to beat Rail Heist for 8 levels in general can sometimes be pretty fast, but especially if you have stuff like double jump and the ability to shoot and stuff again. And we do see Nitro starting to work on this triple Vanger synergy, but unfortunately for them, Sleepy is pretty far along at this point. Has already reached Y Vanger and is just going to go ahead and get the quick key code there, which is also very close to where the boss is. Actually working on mod here while Nitro is trying to work on defeat 3 bosses. But unfortunately for Nitro, after seeing the defeat A boss got marked off, presumably thought that they were behind on defeat 3 bosses. So at this point, Sleepy's just kind of trying to get back into the middle of the map here to be able to re-equip this mod and also save the progress for later in the game when they need bosses later. And during this time, Nitro is going to start to work on what looks like the Column 1 bingo here after Star Wasper. So at this point in the match, it is 4-2 Sleepy. Most of Nitro's main bingo threats at this point have been blocked, while Sleepy's still got the Column 4. Neither player really has a ton going for bingos at this point, so we do see Sleepy pop back into Vanger to defeat 3 bosses, including Ramses, which is not one that you normally see players go for quickly. And starting to work on both the diagonal bingo and also just trying to get a quick Lords of Disconia square. I skipped over if Nitro actually got the Star Wasper goal, but theoretically could be trying to push for a surprise bottom row bingo. Theoretically trying to bait Sleepy into an Avianos gold disc, which is a goal that I don't think too many players are super excited about going for right out the gate. Sleepy starting to get a pretty decent scatter shot of spaces on the board. Just wants to make sure the diagonals are taken care of here, so hops into Ninpek while Nitro starts to work on hiding minigames. So Nitro and their nodes did mention at this point that they were starting to be concerned with that column 4 bingo, and presumably also the column 5 bingo. Sleepy does get that goal, and is going to start working on Party House while having held the Ninpex Square. Pretty interesting back and forth with holds in this game. We do see, interestingly enough, the exact same square as the last game with the Beat to Magical Knight with one guest purchase from the shop. So if players are able to do this, then Sleepy would be able to use the one cherry that he's already got, quickly get another cherry on this card, which would presumably just be Waldorf. You could also go Magic Garden. There's a couple of pretty good options for you here. And then that theoretically could be a middle row or middle column bingo here. So as Sleepy marks off the Ninpex Square about halfway through Party House, Nitro does start to see the threat starting to form. Thankfully for Nitro, they are extremely far along in Night Manor, along with getting all the hiding spots. So some good natural synergy there as they were able to pop into Night Manor and get into Waldorf ahead of Sleepy. So even though Sleepy is able to win this Party House Square, this ends up being a pretty tense back and forth. So at this point in the match, Sleepy is looking like they're going to be pushing for this middle column bingo. But unfortunately for him, Nitro is in Waldorf, grabs 6 puffins, and is going to be able to mark this space and the cherry space back to back. Oh wait, no, this is without collecting any puffins. So blocks the bingo with that, and now is able to go back into Waldorf and just reach the end without collecting puffins. Unfortunately, sometimes when you yellow launch, your landing spot is just on a puffin, and there's nothing you can do about it. Let me snooze this ad, because I should be good to go in a little bit, but... so now up 8-5, Sleepy is still in a pretty commanding position on this board, but does need to be careful that that column 1 bingo, for instance, isn't something that Nitro's sneakily working on. I should have held, never mind. So Nitro is still trying to work on this enter the palace without collecting any puffins goal. Wind kicked in as soon as they were trying to land and bumped them back. Yeah, the 49's a little tough, but the cherry wouldn't have mattered anyway at that point, honestly, just because of the way the board laid out. Okay, so during this point in the match, up 8-6, Sleepy is going to start working on the rest of Metroidvania. Already has a little bit of progress thanks to Danger, so he's going to just work on Porgy, and a little bit of Golfaria as well. So at this point in the match, Sleepy is mostly just concerned with blocking the final bingo options. once you've blocked all your opponent's bingo options and you have a majority lead, you're generally feeling a little bit better in a match. So Sleepy taking the time to work on the Barbuda very hard, while Nitro's trying to finish up this 30x and Star Wasper. Goal that can theoretically go pretty quickly, but like the rest of Star Wasper, can fall apart just as fast. So Nitro, by their own account, at this point in the match, started to feel like they were running out of options a little bit here. So just going to start to work on onion delivery and try to get that square. Sleepy, meanwhile, is almost at the point where he should be able to pay the Hammerman to destroy the wall. This ends up being a pretty long and involved route, honestly. I've seen players follow this guide pretty specifically, and it typically takes about 10 minutes or so, which for any Barbuda goal is actually pretty intense, honestly. But with that, up 9-6. At this point, Sleepy is the only one with a bingo available, and Nitro is going to work to block that last bingo with a diagonal. But unfortunately for Nitro, Sleepy is just pretty far ahead elsewhere at this point. And there still is a bingo threat in the middle row that I completely ignored until now, apparently. But over the course of this match, the middle row has been a little conspicuously untouched. And ends up coming down to a level 44 race, which Nitro thankfully is able to grab, but still will actually need the other two levels, because I guess they're going in reverse order here. Unfortunately for Sleepy, level 44 is a level that, even when you know the route, is kind of tricky. Oh, Sleepy was holding for levels there, that's what happened. Okay, so in the process of working for levels to try to get the surprise final bingo, Sleepy had completed the goal first, but held it for a little too long. And at this point in the match, it is still looking like Nitro theoretically could come back. There's 10 minutes left in the match and not like a ton of quick goals left on the card. But kudos to Nitro for bringing it back within one and taking advantage of a couple of pretty aggressive holds, some of which paid off and some of which unfortunately didn't seem to pay off as much this game. But once Sleepy marks off levels, that basically seals up the game, because at this point Nitro would need 3 goals in the next 5 minutes. And unless Nitro had like a ton of general synergy that they were just holding this entire time, that wouldn't really be possible. So as players end up finishing out this round, it ends up being a 10-8 win. Both players did a really good job that game of pushing bingos, countering bingos, making sure that their opponents were blocked while still getting good space coverage. And yeah, very good game. So that is the end of C1 for week 3. My little cumulative stats seem to be off here, but looking at the weekly stats once again, because these should be updated every single time games are logged, we do have a new league leader for games. Shoutouts to Cyberells, with 36 goals marked off this season and logged. Seaside is also kind of surprisingly up there, which is kind of funny because Seaside had a reputation in earlier seasons for being a bit of a bingo trap for how long it actually took to get anything done in there. Camouflage, Mooncap, Bug Hunter, Magic Garden, Rakshasa are a little less surprising. Paint Chase, Hyper Contender, Night Manor, Rail Heist, Keeney. Velgris, Vanger, Quiver Race, Tactics, Valbrace, Barbuda are all pretty fast games, so that's not super surprising. Like I mentioned during a bit of the recap earlier, seeing Pin Golf this far down on the list is like shocking. Because granted, this is only the goals that have like been logged with completions this season, but it's in the same tier as stuff like Caramel and like Combatants for Bingo this season, which I think is, even if you're a Pin Golf hater, I think you can admit that's a little too far. Again, part of it is probably just that goals haven't, like, the games that have had Pin Golf goals marked off probably just don't have odds for them, but when I was doing these stats earlier, I was shocked to see Pin Golf this far down. So ads are already running, but let me just put this up as I'm setting up for C2. I'm going to go ahead and mute, get the VODs going, have a dab real quick, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Alright, hi everyone, we're back. Thanks for hanging out. We are here for, it said C1 in the ticker, but it's actually C2. I guess officially. Marker. We're back. So this was week 2 for the tier of brand new players in our league. Shoutouts to Level Up Leo for his first bingo here. Dumpus Leo was an 8-8 bingo win by Leo. and we'll watch how it happens. Oh yeah, this is the one that Matt actually wrote his own synopsis for a while ago, so cool. So starting off in this game, both players are going, or Thumpus is going to first start off with a little bit of pilot quest progress to get that going, before both players then go into shoutouts to the hot dog layer. I'm not sure why that it's a hot dog. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, made me laugh a lot. So Leo going for the double Kick Club synergy of eating 10 desserts and having 5 extra lives at once. I mention it every time I see 5 extra lives at once in a match, but this goal in Season 1 was actually cursed, and anyone who was in Season 1 can confirm. But every time anyone went for this goal in Season 1, like regardless of tier, everyone would always end up choking at like 4 lives every single time, and then just keep it going for forever. Thankfully, if you're comfortable in Kit Club, even if you lose a life, you end up getting the life back pretty quickly. But as we see here, it's also pretty quick to just drain lives, so at this point Leo just going for the hidden desserts and working towards 5 extra lives at once, like if he's able to keep going here, I would assume. But definitely just more concerned with the hidden desserts at this point. Unfortunately did miss one of the hidden desserts in 2-8. But didn't need both of them because he was able to get the other desserts. And then, honestly, if didn't get it before then, definitely got it in 2-9, so whatever. So able to pick up the Kit Club gift before quitting out. Thumpus at this point working on Devilition for a bunch of progress in Puzzler, as well as getting the Devilition space that's on the board. Thumpus now using his time to clear Moscow and start to push the column 1 while also blocking the column 5. Not that that one's like really super being worked on at the moment, but so interestingly, worth mentioning, both players in Kit Club at different points in this match for different goals and ultimately different reasons, which is kind of fun. Not a direct head-to-head in either of these, but Kit Club earned 5 extra lives. Theoretically can be done at the first 50k points, which you kind of do on the way to World 2 anyway. Thumpus being rewarded for picking the girl character, in my opinion, is able to grab that 50k right there. Start to push the column 1 bingo, which thankfully for Leo, he is already blocking with the attempt at having 4 puffins in Waldorf at once. Shoutouts to the pig. Speaking of the pig, when I was playing Pokemon Renegade Platinum last time, I named my Mamoswine exclamation mark after this pig in Waldorf, and I was very happy about it. Still have never actually gotten to catch a Spiel to actually like have a Waldorf of my very own, but you never know. Okay, so at this point, tied 3-3 at about the half-hour mark. Both players have done a good job of blocking each other's main bingo lines. Thumpus is gonna make their way through Caramel to grab this space as well as another gift. I've noticed players this season have gotten, on the whole, a lot better at Caramel because it's definitely a game that players seem a lot more comfortable going into this season than they have in past seasons. Seeing the double pin golf synergy on the board, as well as the synergy with 8 levels and a gold disc, Leo works his way through pin golf. Honestly, even if you're not able to get the hole-in-one on this first round, even just getting under par on 5 courses into a gold disc is pretty good synergy. And just get the hole-in-ones you can and clean it up on a separate round. The pin golf bouncies are always my favorite. So at this point, up 4-3. Kind of an interesting board position where Leo's still threatening more bingos despite having fewer spaces here. Especially if he is able to grab these pin golf squares and what they would additionally mean for space for space coverage on the board. So interestingly, after that first round, Leo gets close on both those goals, but ends up prompting a pretty much neck-and-neck pin golf race. Thankfully for Leo, he was very close on that and just needed to get under par on like one extra hole, which does cause Thumpus to pivot out and not get any of the gold disc or level progress. Obviously, Leo's going to try to stick in and get the additional hole-in-ones as well, but thankfully this time if it doesn't work, he can just pivot out into whatever else. Buns live. These pin golf bounces are so brutal. I'm not laughing at Leo at all, I'm just laughing at these ridiculous ass pin golf physics. Yo, Nixel with a raid. Hi everyone, how's it going? How was the match? Welcome in. We are recapping C2. We just got started on Leo versus Thumpus. Very interesting to see how this bingo is formed here. If you are following Nixel, please do so. They're also streaming a bunch of UFO 50 bingo stuff. Yeah, I was lurking for a little bit. I eventually had to get going on this because I realized if I didn't get going today, I would be officially a week behind, and I'm trying my best to not do that. But for those that don't know, I'm CEO. I'm also a bingo player and a bingo caster, and also the caster for these weekly recaps. We have about 3 streams a week now dedicated to these. So if you are interested in catching up on any UFO 50 bingo action, welcome, because we're going to be here doing a lot of it over the next couple of weeks. We've gotten through the first week of action and have gotten through A and B tier already for week 2. And we are recapping the C tier match where Leo was able to get a diagonal bingo. Currently working on that by trying to spawn 3 different sets of egg blocks, while Thumpus is attempting to block that with levels on this card. But is unfortunately pretty far behind on that right now. This is a fun one too. Yeah, this is a good back and forth. Honestly, I've kind of just been having fun with these recaps, just watching all of the games at 4x speed and kind of just yapping about them, even if I don't have, like, specifically a ton to talk about in every single game. And the higher tier matches especially, it's important to have a focus on everything that's happening, because I just need to make sure that I'm, like, staying aware of where the game changes and stuff are. But in these slower paced matches where I can kind of just chill with y'all and chat about what's happening, it's always nice to watch it happen a little bit more naturally, I guess. So tied 5-5 at this point in the game. I don't blame Thumpus for not really seeing or contesting this diagonal bingo, because you would be surprised how easy it is to miss that. Leo does a good job of claiming the Mooncat square and working his way through to grab a gold disc just in case if he needs it. Oh, yeah, if you want to close it up, that's fine. Your PC's on, so. Okay. The second your PC turns on, it gets hotter in here, so.
All this adds like 2 degrees immediately.
Yep. So at this point in the match, and I guess for the entire game from here on out, Thumpus actually doesn't contest this diagonal bingo. So while they are able to keep pace score-wise, all of their bingos are blocked, and sometimes when all of your bingos are blocked, it's pretty easy to assume that the inverse is also true. But unfortunately for them, that is not the case. Once Leo is through Mooncat, we are going to see the diagonal push here. And according to Matt, one of the Mortal 2 runs of all time. So, just reading exactly what Matt wrote for the synopsis of this one. Shoutouts to Matt. Leo formed a major diagonal threat, which Thumpus never saw, where Leo just had to do the Mortal 2, get eaten by 4 Worm's goal to win the match. However, after opening Mortal 2, Leo proceeded to 1. Activate all 3 switches, at one point completely ignoring a worm along the way. 2. Do the climb. 3. Kill the Dark Hearts with the Gunner, getting gold disc number 3. 4. Re-enter and new game. 5. Finally address the worms, getting eaten by the first worm, then leaving the second worm right next to it, before coming back to it as the final worm way at the end. The chat was counting down by doing worm 1, worm 1 2, ... Worm 1, 2, 3, 4, as the worms ate him. So, keeping in mind here, Leo does not have to do any of the rest of this stuff in Mortal 2, and really just has to get eaten by the worms right now.
That's the goal.
And I've been guilty of this also, where sometimes it's a little easy to just focus on like a different goal. But I wanted
So just like play the game and forget the goal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did think it was funny that Matt gave a full written, numbered, and listed synopsis of everything from this Mortal 2.
Play. That's great. That's good note taking.
Shoutouts to Winterbit in the chat of this match saying, "Hey, look, a worm." It's the climb. I'm so glad that we've gotten to see a climb every single week this season.
I need you to know half the time I'm responding, I'm not even looking at the game. I'm just listening to what you're saying and going off of that.
That's totally fine.
Like,
Shoutouts to Bingo Recappers. For real, Zachary. Thank you all very much for the help with the Bingo Recap stuff, because...
Truly amazing. You're beautiful. We love you.
Yes, definitely couldn't do it without y'all.
We could, but it would take all week long.
Yep.
Like, even more so than it already has.
Yeah, so, do we need a
minute.
climb watch? Yes, please, Zachary. For those that don't know, these weekly recaps are a team effort this season, thankfully, because they definitely couldn't afford to not be this season. We have like 35 matches or something a week across 5 different tiers, with A tier playing 2 games and effectively being 2 tiers on their own. So major shout outs to everyone. Yeah, so I think now seeing the diagonal, Leo decides to start going for these worms here. No, but it was rattling when I pushed it over, so it's definitely stuck on something. And during that time, Leo was able to get the or not get the diagonal, but come close on it. During this entire time, Thumpus unfortunately didn't see this and was just working on other stuff. And as the match starts to tick away here, worth mentioning that the match will end at 145 no matter what. So Leo at this point does need this space to be able to win. And was able to get it for the 8-8 bingo win. So GG's to both. That was a very well played game. Shout outs to Matt for the specific Mortal 2 recap at the end there. But both players did a good job of getting the good double synergies on that board and came down to the wire, so always really fun. Okay. Next up is a 9-6 Eden versus Hot Pockets win. Let's just go ahead and play the VOD. We don't have a written recap for this one, so we'll just kind of watch through and skip around and see how things go, but Starting off the match, we see some early pin golf into some early camouflage, both really fast bingo games, so definitely understandable picks. Violet did a really good job of sizing all of this to actually fit well. I need to resize mine still. So, Eden able to roll Escape with 5 Babies into a Camouflage Gold Disc, which helps out with the Gold Disc General on this card. Yes. Meanwhile, Hot Pocket's going for the double synergy of a Mooncat Gold Disc as well as Gold Discs on this card, taking mostly the Red Egg route, before unfortunately going into what I consider to be the hardest room in Mooncat. This room is brutal. I'm pretty sure this is the only room with these like green turret cannon guys, and thankfully so, in my opinion, because these guys are rough, especially in a vertical level like this. Oh, you did recap this one. Okay, thank you. Oh, so you did. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Zachary. So unfortunately, during that time, Hot Pockets did get stuck in that kind of weird Mooncat room and ended up having to pivot out. Always a tough call when you're in a bingo match when you have to pivot out of a goal that you're just going to lose all of your progress in if you have to, but better that than getting stuck in a room that you like straight up can't do for an entire bingo match or something. So. I appreciate it, thanks. I didn't transfer everything over to the Word doc today, so I admittedly stopped checking, but it looks like we do actually have a couple of C2 matches here. And for what it's worth, even if we're not able to do like the full written recaps each week, if I end up needing to wing it through a match, we can just watch it at mostly 4x speed and kind of recap stuff here. Now we do have a head-to-head Camp 2 race. Have 2 upgrades at once is a pretty quick square, because normally you just have to get through Burrows 1 and then get a shop in Burrows 2, or just go to Burrows, or like the next stage over. I appreciate it, thank you. So at this point, up 2-0, Eden is starting to push the column 5 bingo and sees the double synergy for Mooncat Gold Disc that Hot Pockets was trying to go for. Meanwhile, Hot Pockets is going to try to get Rufus to level 2, but then unfortunately not be able to survive a kind of rough encounter. It's always tough in the beginning of a match like this where you're pivoting around and just are able to complete the goals like you're doing a lot of the goals, but just you aren't able to mark them off. I've been in this situation before and it can be pretty tricky, so kudos to Hot Pockets for eventually just being able to settle down, find a comfortable goal that they're able to do well and do it well.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, good. Well, welcome in. We're happy to have you. I am surprisingly
So unfortunately does not get the blowout, and ends up having to pivot out. But fortunately for Hot Pockets, we do get bailed out with the sub 30-second overworld piece. 44-second goal completion. Very nice.
Because there were ants on my desk for some reason.
And meanwhile, Eden is able to get the Mooncat goal. And when you're in the position like this, where you have like both corners and then almost another corner, you can get a surprising amount of board coverage with pretty minimal spaces. So Eden is going to work her way through Grimstone to try to get that Rufus goal, while Hot Pockets is going to try to work his way through level 1 of Belgris. Pretty much every bingo player can attest to the fact that Belgris goals are theoretically fast, but the second you get stuck in any kind of a death loop, it is very, very easy to lose track of time. And Belgris is like just fast enough where you feel like you can just get it next run, so you just stay in it for forever. It's a very interesting game for bingo, because like objectively, even the longest goals of it are really fast. But it's also like such a difficult game, and one of the few games where nerves like affect you at every single level of bingo.
Not sure why.
Also, I didn't even actually mention it over the Grimstone thing because it's tough to tell at 4x, but Eden did bust out the C2 Grimstone manip, by the way. Proving more and more that I should probably just suck it up and learn the Grimstone manips instead of doing all of these goals without manips. But anyway. Up 4-2, Eden is going to be working on this pin golf goal of destroying 10 orange obstacles, while Hot Pockets is going to try to get some gifts and progress along the way. That'll be the last time Manip. Is Manip getting banned in bingo? Does my boy Rufus finally get to shine? Because as someone who has not learned Grimstone Manip yet.
I feel like him purring is like, thank you, you figured it out.
Well, Mora can attest, we were pretty adamant against not using Grimstone Manip, even if it cost us a lot in Grimstone goals in the spicy season. And surprisingly, we played a fuck ton of Grimstone during the spicy season. Like, I was thinking through it the other day about how many goals we like actually ended up doing and stuff in spicy, and I swear like half my season was just in Grimstone running around. Well, I personally am in favor of that. I know a lot of people like the Grimstone manip, but half of the fun of Grimstone to me is hoping that RNGesus is on your side, and if he's not, sometimes just working through it anyway. So we do see Hot Pocket starting to work on a combination of gift rushing and revolutionary. Revolutionary is a new general goal this season where you have to beat levels across Mortal, Cyber Owls, and Rock on Island. 3 games that otherwise aren't like super represented in bingo. Cyber Owls is, but the other 2 definitely aren't that much, so very cool to see some of the new stuff in Season 3 on these boards.
It's still hot there? How hot is it for you? It says it's 80 here, the high is 84.
Oh. Yeah, the manip is like a second level thing that you can learn was kind of cool, but I definitely don't think it should be like the first thing you learn for Grimstone. Because like there definitely is a lot of skill and just planning a party safely and stuff.
Not like that far behind you, but like just far enough behind you that it's like terrible. I feel like the 18 is still like okay. The 90s though.
So this Magic Garden goal is pretty tricky
I feel like you can
sometimes.
still, like, comfortably
Scoring
earn
10,000
it.
plus points before saving 50 oppies requires you to pretty much just get as many potions on the board as possible
might get
and
sweaty
save
and
up
stuff,
and build
but
up a
it's
bunch
still
of
not as
bloppies on
bad
the
as,
board
like,
and then take them out.
90s and 100s and stuff. Well, 100s you don't leave the house.
And meanwhile, Hot Pockets is working a bit more on Revolutionary. I think there was a point where they did the Cyber Owls rescue mission thinking it counted as a Cyber Owls level, but it does not.
Super comfortable here yesterday, now it's raining cold again. No.
Shoutouts to the 1 HP Road Toad, by the way. Terrifying. Nice.
Oh my god, wait, speaking of yesterday, guess who we got to fucking see?
Oh yeah, we got to hang out with...
Cammy.
Yeah. Cammy. It had been years since we saw Cammy.
This Cammy. Chimichanga. Hundreds are just a fact of life here this summer? Oh no, I mean same, but like, I won't leave the house unless I have
Okay.
to.
So at this point in the match, up 6-2,
Unless I'm
Hot
going,
Pockets
like,
is
grocery
able to
shopping,
close out
or,
gifts and
like,
at least block
big body
that
of water.
far column bingo from potentially being a
I'm not
threat.
leaving the air conditioning.
Meanwhile, Eden is trying to work on the row 2 threat, and even though Hot Pockets has
Or,
done a
like,
good job
going
of
somewhere
blocking
else
the
for air
bingos so far,
conditioning.
still a bit of work to do to figure out where they can like start to get ahead here.
I'll be honest.
Campanella Gold
The air
Disc
conditioning
and
in your
beating
car is,
levels
like,
and defeating
top-notch.
bosses and getting the Gold Disc synergy is pretty valuable here,
Like,
especially
it
since
keeps
Hot
on, like,
Pockets wasn't
that.
able to get the Mooncat stuff earlier in the game. We do
Well,
eventually see
powerful if
the
you had
Demolition
more than
Square
one day at a
get
time.
pushed, and up 7-3. Both the column 1 and row 2 bingos are being threatened here.
It's why we have allergies in the spring.
The column 1 bingo having more quick options available, especially since Hot Pockets is maybe not sure how many games Eden has in 2 levels compared to him.
We would all be in too good of a mood. I don't know who decided that. I mean, the government probably.
I love when people just enter Block Koala and their response is, oh.
Insane, but like, someone decided. God, I guess.
I mentioned during the last stream that I recapped, but there's a thing in the Mario community that I'm going to consider carrying over for Block Koala specifically, where the really scary levels in like a ROM hack or whatever will get the moniker, oh, this level, because it is the level that like everyone knows for that thing.
I'll get a car wash.
And I feel like there are definitely a few oh, this levels in Block Koala. And level 6 is definitely one of them, because this is the first level where like you really have to know how the decaying blocks work. And even when you know how the decaying blocks work, they can still sometimes just really be in the way no matter what. And then even where you know where to go, the path is still like long and winding.
Like, it actually makes me mad. I can only take care of my car. Thank you very much. Like I said, I have a spring birthday.
So unfortunately not able to grab the Camp 1 gold disc. Eden is going to give her shot at that
In
space.
some places, it's solidly winter for my birthday. And that's fair. But I have a spring birthday. And I always have, because of where I live. The pollen is all around us.
And pushing the bingo threat here with 20 minutes left. Eden can either use her 8-4 advantage to try to spend the next 20 minutes playing This Is It and getting the bingo win, or pushing other spaces. And once Hot Pockets grabs the party house space to bring it back within 3, Eden going to use the rest of her time to just play through Block Walla, make the progress that she needs to make in this. Is already a little bit over halfway through the goal. And meanwhile, Hot Pockets does the correct thing and just tries to block the bingo from happening and gets locked into this is it for, I believe, the rest of the match. Effectively the rest of the match, I guess.
Before we had those.
Then I guess perhaps realizing that Eden probably isn't actually working on this is it, or just realizing that the match is gonna kind of end either way, and needs to grab other spaces in the meantime. Unfortunately, Campanella Gold Disc is still being difficult here, and Gold Disc 4 games on this card is also kind of looking a little difficult with how much time is left in the game. So we do see Hot Pockets just start to go for Worms and Mortal 2 before pivoting out.
So, but just because like I park outside and stuff,
and then in the nick of time, Eden is able to get Block Walla and spend the last couple of minutes going for this is it. Might as well give the goal a shot and see if you can just get a kind of like cheeky bingo, but these red ants are giving her the business, unfortunately. Kind of just hoping the spider runs over. The spider does get into position, but then ends up eating her instead of the other ant queen. You do see the ants starting to gang up on it a bit here. Unfortunately, spider going for the ants specifically is a bit tough, because it would have been better for it to go for the queen here, I think. But then at 1:45, the game is over. Theoretically, this looked like a round that could have actually won This Is It, but just kind of ran out of time. So, GG to both. Hot Pockets did a good job of overcoming a kind of tough start to make that game definitely very, very tight and competitive. And Eden did a good job of getting an early lead and kind of holding on to it.
Wrapup just sitting on the paint of your car, like that's not good for the paint. So
yeah, that definitely looked like an ants run that could have been completed with enough time.
So
that could have in fact been it.
Go
That was the it they were talking about.
maybe once a week. Well, there's a bunch of pollen everywhere like this, maybe twice a week. If it's really bird cookie season.
Okay, next up is Flebmev versus Worm. This ended up being a 5-5 tiebreak win by Worm. As a reminder for anyone who is new to these recaps, Tier C2 is full of completely new players. And Flebmev is actually week 1. When is this year? Okay. Well, this is a week 1 game that somehow ended up in week 2, but I guess I'll just check it anyway. I think this is my week 1 lineup. Yes, it is, because Leia was on the top. Okay.
But like in my old car, the car wasn't like super
anyway,
old, but like not my last car, but the car before it.
So early double Big Bell race synergy here. Complete a full lap in reverse and win on 4 separate tracks, and win race 1 without boosters.
But it is a lot easier to like see out of.
Potentially a goal you can double up on, but one that is a little bit harder to come back on, I guess.
Brand new on the inside, and then having that yellow dust all over the outside, where I'm just like.
But Fleb able to get an early 1-0 lead with that Big Bell race goal.
That's so funny,
before we get a head-to-head and paint chase. Either beat 6 courses or score 180 points. Fleb unfortunately not able to do that, so quitting out and going into Big Bell race, while Worm is working her way through both of those and able to grab both of them. So good double synergy there, and 2 other good double synergy here of Good Spur and beating 5 levels. Even though the Rail Heist beat 5 levels, Square doesn't have the terminal code on it. You can still use the terminal code to make your way through the game with extra power-ups. I think Worm, unfortunately, is doing the opposite of that, where she's just going to attempt to do the Good Spur goal without good spur, which can be pretty tricky, honestly, because you kind of need the power-ups to be able to kill all the chickens in time.
I have a link if I may. Go for it. You're a VIP. You don't need a permit.
And we do see Fleb immediately go in and get that big bow race goal, which is a pretty tricky goal. We do see that situation I was talking about, though, where Worm got up to foul business. And then I think she realized exactly how many chickens and enemies there were. And you are very limited on options if you don't have super punch and double jump and stuff. We do get a head-to-head in pin golf. Despite this being a 5-to-5 game, it's pretty fun to see how many head-to-heads there are in this. One of my favorite things about recapping C2 both last season and this season, the final scores of the games aren't really as indicative of how competitive the games actually are. It's sometimes nice to see players who are kind of figuring out these goals a bit more live, and one of those goals that is gonna be giving people a ton of trouble if they don't practice is this pin golf goal. I've mentioned it, and I even mentioned it in the bingo chat, honestly, but this par or better on 7 courses with no purple objects remaining. Yeah, this par or better on 7 courses with no purple objects remaining goal is the hard goal of pin golf, but I personally think it's harder than the very hard, just because of the route. The purple objects are in a couple of pretty rough spots here, and also having to get par or better on this is what. So up 4-2, Worm has a pretty good spot on the board, even though she wasn't able to get the other pin golf goal. Again, definitely understandable. And then at this point in the game, about a half hour in, players are just trying to make some progress somewhere on the board. This is definitely a board that requires a lot of knowledge. Good job to Fleb for being able to grab the Bushido ball goal and clear out that bottom corner from being a threat.
No, don't get me started on the videos because I won't stop.
Okay, so a bit farther in, we see Fleb going for the good spur goal. Starting to see the direct difference here between having good spur and not having good spur. For those that don't know, good spur basically just gives you one of every single power-up in the game, which includes double jump, take an extra hit, exploding bullets, quick draw, super punch, and something else that I think I'm forgetting. But basically having all of those power-ups at once kind of just makes you a rail heist god, even if you're not doing like super punches and stuff, and makes it, first of all, much easier to get through the first couple of levels, but then also makes it much more doable to actually complete the goal in foul business.
Well, that was stupid. They didn't accidentally do anything.
So here we get to see a pretty direct comparison, keeping in mind that Worm is able to save progress, as she is playing through Rail Heist the without terminal code way. But we now get to see just how helpful it is to just be able to blow up everything. There are a lot of chickens in this stage, so definitely is helpful to have all of these power-ups and stuff. And at this point, up 5-3, Worm is looking for a goal that she is able to accomplish, while Fleb is working on the Rail Heist goal. And as you can see, even with unlimited power-ups and stuff, this is still a pretty tricky goal. Especially this cart of chickens everywhere is really difficult to get rid of.
Like they were flying in there.
And even with all of the power-ups, just unfortunately runs out of time before getting all the chickens. And meanwhile, Worm is going to attempt to beat the first stage of Rakshasa.
Going kind of slow as you're going into there. There's no fucking way that was an accident. No fucking way. No, I did an accent, and I don't even know what accent that was, so I'm sorry.
So at this point, Fleb does have pilot quest progress and could theoretically make a friend at the crash site as soon as he gets 5 ingots. Gonna just make him the old-fashioned way and just build it up in the background. Could get Meat Shack online and theoretically go out into the wild zone and just grind for ingots, but instead is just going to let those ingots cook in the background while he's working on other goals.
A lot of why I didn't stream in the past 2 weeks, though, is because when I did do my birthday stream 2 weeks ago, is when we noticed that I was having that reaction to the Sanoderm. So then I was healing both the tattoo and the reaction to the Sanoderm.
Yeah.
Like a lot to heal. My little body could only do so much at once.
Understandable.
Yeah. I guess it makes
sense. So at this point in the game, both players are just trying to get some additional board presence here. All of these goals that are fast on this board do require a lot of intense focus for some of the hardest games in the collection. We do see Worm working through levels at Party House for Amy.
It was so weird because I was fine with it the first piece. The first 24 hours, and then
we have 4 of the 5 ingots for Party House, or for Pilot Quest. Fleb just looking around the board to try to figure out what else can be done. As a reminder for the tiebreaker rules, since Worm has been at 5 spaces, Fleb would need to get to 5 spaces and then get a 6th space in order to win this game. Since Worm has the tiebreaker of having her 5th space first. So looking around the board for the next half hour trying to figure out where 3 goals can come from is pretty tricky sometimes. I guess if either player is watching this back as a heads up, that Mortal goal is one of the few incredibly fast Mortal 1 goals. That level is designed to teach you how good fire arrows are, and if you kill the enemy spawners, you instantly get a life back no matter what, so it ends up being pretty generous.
It had to do with friction and movement. Yeah. And it could have been
Okay, so coming into the final 20 minutes of the match, we are going to see another attempt at Good Spur. One of the few drawbacks about terminal codes such as Good Spur is that they don't save your progress. So unlike Worm, who is able to just immediately pop back into Rail Heist and try foul business again, Fleb did have to play all the way back through the first couple of levels,
Okay, I
which,
can
like,
see that.
admittedly, with the power-ups and stuff, the first
I can see
4
that.
levels of Rail Heist or whatever,
Also,
super
hi,
fast
Boots.
anyway.
Welcome back, Mare.
But still not something you would, like, ideally want to do in a situation.
Yeah, it was rough.
But we do
It's pretty
see
much healed
plenty
now,
of time
though,
this
so
time.
don't
Has
worry
10
about it.
seconds left, grabs the money, marks the square, and then with 15 minutes left is also able to pop back into Pilot Quest, make a friend, and mark off that square. So suddenly in the final 15 minutes, this is looking like a pretty scary situation. In the final 15, we do see both players starting to go for mortal squares. Separate mortal squares for what it's worth,
Yeah,
with Fleb going for the 50 plus lives and Worm going for the open tomb square.
It still is a tiny bit, but like
Understandable to do things this way. I don't exactly know. I think you could actually use open tomb to get 50 plus lives and just skip around, like play level 1 and then actually go straight to 2-B. But definitely with the final 15, players are just trying to look to grab any other space, either to suddenly tie it up or come back with the win after this. I think Worm, seeing that synergy that I had mentioned, is going to use Open Tomb to go straight through the early portion of this game, grab these spaces, and attempt to close this out in the final 10 minutes. We have about 20 lives or so for Fleb and about 20 or so for Worm before she quits out. Bouncing back and forth between which goal is theoretically faster between 50 plus lives in Mortal 1 or defeating the first stage in Rakshasa. Also knowing that your opponent is doing whatever they can to get through quick space here. So interestingly, I guess in both players in this game, we see a situation where they maybe could have used the terminal code elsewhere on the card to help them with another goal. So like for this one, Open Tomb to beat level 1 and then skipping straight to 2-B probably gives you 50 lives if you're super efficient with grinding. But just like do 2-B and then go back and do level 1 and then go back and do level 2 or something. Could have been a theoretical way to get through this mortal square.
Because that's basically what I ended up doing with the outline for it.
But we're sort of seeing the inverse of that, where players both for Rail Heist and Mortal 1 opted to just play the game normally, which allowed them to like save and stuff, but sort of lost the benefit of the terminal codes being there to assist with these. And unfortunately, Fleb lost a decent amount of lives on that stage and didn't gain any. So unfortunately for both players, this ends as a 5-5 tie. And unfortunately for Worm, since she got her 5th square pretty early into this match, she broke the tiebreaker. Okay, we have 3 more matches to get through before we are caught up on recaps. I'm gonna have a dab really quick before these final 3, since I'm already on an ad break anyway. So one sec.
I just use lotion.
Alright, we're back. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Okay, the final 3 games of C tier for week 2. This time we have Sabera versus Scout. Scout was able to pick up a 13-9 majority win here. First off, even getting to a 13-9 board in Tier C2 is always really cool, so I want to shout that out first and foremost. Both Sabera and Scout Pilgrim have been very strong competitors in C2 from what I've noticed in these first couple of weeks, and this game is proof of that. I don't think I have a recap for this one, question mark. I do. Never mind. So starting off in this game, we have a little bit of early night manor into early camp.
Well, now I don't remember what it means because we've said it too many
Campanella
times.
with the trilogy plus 20k points plus gold discs on the card is always a pretty strong play this season, I've noticed, as well as like pretty quick, consistent gifts. Sabera with the mark in the first 2 minutes of the game, and then just playing through to get the gold disc stuff. Being able to parlay the hiding minigame into a cherry run is always, or a gold disc run is always nice. And while Scout is getting some good progress here, she does still have to play through at least a couple of worlds of Campanella 1 to be able to get 20k points. Because I think even if you do both of the bonus games like perfectly and pick up every coffee, you're still normally into World 2 before you get this goal. And during this time, Sabera is just kind of racking up some quick spaces, starting to put her early pressure on that diagonal bingo with defeat 3 bosses in danger, while Scout is unfortunately unballing. Does get the recovery there, at least.
But don't worry, I don't want to. My desk is a mess. I need to deal with this, but I don't even know how. And to move things all around because of the stupid ants. But I still can't figure out why they were even here.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I think it's just the construction next door.
I just don't even, there's not construction next door.
I mean, across the street. I mean, it would have made more sense for me for the ants to be here like months ago when they were like digging stuff up, but it wouldn't surprise me if the construction across the street was...
They brought the war inside.
Yep.
Well, I'll win every time. You don't know how obsessed I can get.
Bun said, nah, I'd win.
They fought the bun, and the bun will always win.
So
That's cool, Llamas.
Sabera doing a bit of a classic route here, running through Lena Verde to get a couple of quick crawler bosses, and then just finish up with literally any other boss from there. Depending on what you want the third boss to be, the third boss is typically kind of far away, but you can also bank that progress and come back later if you want to, which looks like that's what she's doing here. Seeing that Rod and Bloodsword is still on the board, just gonna work through to the this looks like the Rod route first.
I don't know how to not make a big deal
So
about
typically
things,
when
but
you
I'll make it
go for this specific Barbuda goal, you get the Bloodsword first, then reset, and then just get the Rod after. But Sabera, yes, just doing things in the opposite direction is totally fine too. Scout seeing some good double synergy if she's able to beat Weak Shot Stage 2 and also collect a coin along the way. which typically you are doing your best to collect that coin no matter what, because stage 2 with weak shot is pretty tough. You do get a little bit of a power return when you die, both with the screen wipe and because when you get back on screen you're temporarily fully charged. But that spot with the double diamonds is definitely pretty tricky, and then even these like bouncing balls here leading up to the boss before the boss gets in can be kind of hard. And then the boss itself is very hard with weak shot, because this guy kind of takes a lot of hits anyway. And you have no way to clear out these bouncing around black balls. So Scout playing it very safe here, just making sure that she gets through this goal, which is definitely understandable. Able to get it on the last dodge. And in the first the first 20 minutes, this game is 3-2. Definitely a pace of what we would maybe expect to see from Tier C2. It wouldn't surprise me if this was a future playoff game, to be honest, because both of these players are really good. I know Mare wasn't here, because Mare would have flipped out.
Yeah, Mare, were you here? Were you here, dude?
To be fair, Vincent came back at kind of like a random time, but...
Yeah, Mare was here. Mare was here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good. No, I thought so. Because when it happened, I was like, oh my god, where's Vex? And I know that if Mare wasn't here, I would have been like, oh my god, where's Mare?
That's true.
And then Vex arrived. Oh, it's
Okay,
not here
so...
for DM, you gotta respond to that. Oh, he didn't even reply to my DM!
Tied 3-3. Sabera's working on Planet Zoldath, while Scout is working on Alphazar's Hat.
I just wanted to make sure you knew.
Alphazar's Hat, stage 4. A bit of a longer goal, but one that does kind of intersect both of Sabera's like current spaces that still have bingo threats available. So a bit higher value than maybe it would have been at the start of the match, just based on the way that the space is laid out so far.
Stop sitting for a fucking minute.
Scout also able to use that synergy to get some pretty good synergy like, for bosses.
At least a certain
between Camp 1, Seaside, and Alphazar's Hat, definitely a good card for bosses.
And that's like...
Yeah, I realized right after you marked it off that this is actually like a very synergistic play for bosses and stuff too. And obviously if you're playing that far into Alphazar's Hat anyway, you might as well. It's funny how quickly this bottom row filled up after having one space filled up for most of it. It's always kind of funny when a bingo forms like that, and it's just like alternating colors at this point. Also, hi Scout, how's it going? So Sabera hopping into Overbold, a game that is pretty notorious for being ridiculously difficult in bingo, even if you're normally pretty comfortable in it otherwise. I think even players who like pretty regularly speedrun Overbold prefer to not go into Overbold for bingo just because of how volatile it can be. And maxing out 4 upgrades at once is... I believe that's actually one of the easier goals from my understanding in Overbold, but like even the easiest goals in Overbold still require you to risk things and play rounds like this where you're screaming and crying, running away from whales as much as you can. Yeah, Alphazar's Hat for bosses now goes really hard. It's a game that I'm planning on learning a speedrun for. But it kind of feels like that one meme of the I've been meaning to get into that girlfriend, where it's like the stick figure with the dress. And it's just like all these different quotes that are basically just being like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to get into that. Oh yeah, I saw that. But for bingo, like, oh yeah, I've been
Like, you're
meaning to
gonna tell
speedrun
me
that
what
game.
position
I've
to
been
put my
I've been meaning to
body
learn the
in
route for
game.
that game. Endless content for UFO 50 for sure.
Like my, like you're telling me my body position is making people uncomfortable? What do you even mean? Don't.
Yeah, it is pretty nice how fortuitous bingo learning can be for stuff like that.
Making me uncomfortable.
Because we do see that Scout is able to get through Alphazar with 1 HP remaining on her final life. Could have theoretically gone into a cherry for that, but definitely didn't need to at that point. And could have theoretically stuck around for a gold disc, I guess, but still probably not worth it at this point in the game, in my opinion. Imagine Zachary. Someday I will get a card that's actually good for Warp Tank. I don't know if it'll be this week, but someday it'll happen. Oh yeah, speaking of Warp Tank, by the way, y'all, I had a little bit of time to kill yesterday while I was waiting for our friend Cammy to show up, and casually PB'd on Warp Tank Gold offline by like 2 minutes, so that run definitely has a lot of wiggle room, and I think I can theoretically even get it under 20 minutes for a gold disc run if I actually buckled down with it. That was your first ever Seaside bonus? Well, you did that very efficiently. I would not have guessed.
That would exist in the military.
And the weak shot bonus minigame is definitely a little bit harder because normally you can at least kind of use your bullets to help break the blocks. But you're kind of just playing breakout for that with weak shot. So we do see a little bit of an extended Camp 2 play here for some Camp Trilogy progress. Camp Enola 2 is another game that, in my opinion, has kind of received a glow up for Season 3. Because you typically used to never really see players go into this unless they like absolutely had to. But since each of the sub-segments are now their own level, you only have to get through Burrows 2 to be able to get 2 levels, for instance. And whatever worlds you get all count for Camp Enola Trilogy, since you don't have to do like one of each now. There's a pretty good reason for most general synergies to actually play and be good at pretty much all of the Camp Enolas now, which is nice. Because typically in Season 1 and even into Season 2, like, Camp 1 Gold Disc was helpful, but I think we saw like a total of like 1 or 2 Camp 2 Gold Discs like all season. I think depending on the way the board lays out this season, it's somewhat viable to go for Camp 2. It would most likely need to be on a board that has 4 gold discs, and like most of them suck. Because like obviously the fast ones are pretty much always going to be worth going for if they're on the card, but if you happen to get a card that never has any of the fast ones, then like learning those like 10-ish minute gold disc runs could definitely help.
Probably because I was too busy making sure I was following the rules all day at school.
So during this time, by the way,
my parents always loved to tell me that I should go to the military, so I guess I would get it together or something. But like,
chat popped off here.
I'm not sure.
And I'm not sure why. Is this a Camp Trilogy race? This is a Camp Trilogy race. Okay. So, as Scout just barely marks it off, due to the ball in this stage, Sabero unfortunately wasn't able to mark off Camp Trilogy, which blocks off that bingo. I saw chat popping off and I wanted to confirm that's what the race was for since I was kind of yapping over it. But yeah, I think you would need Camp 2 very hard synergy where you're just kind of playing through a lot of the game anyway. Camp Enola Trilogy would probably have to be on the board, so you could just gold disc it from there. And then the rest of the board would probably need to suck. I think even at that point, that could be a good cherry, since the cherry of Camp 2 isn't really that much longer than the gold disc, depending on how you play it. Hair loop when Ninpeck turns into a bunny. When you just get to play as the bunny from Mooncat and Ninpeck.
I just got so scared that I wasn't wearing pants. It's because I'm wearing shorts. Like,
See what up?
they're bunched up. I'm like, I got scared that I couldn't get up. I want to have a dab during this ad. Hold on. See you, help. You're so cute. The way that they were like up really high when I was sitting though, I was like, oh no, I'm not wearing pants.
Yeah. So up 8-6, Scouts doing a good job of working their way through combatants. Surprise is a pretty quick level when you know. Yeah.
I'll win too.
Surprise is a pretty quick level when you know the route. But the route, it can be pretty hard to execute in this one because it does require some pretty specific ant pulling here. And also kind of hoping that one of the guys in the top corner just doesn't get locked on eventually. But thankfully able to use the size of her army there to start to pull the ants over, and then one at a time is able to start working through that army, drags them to the back, and eventually beats there. During that time, Sabera was able to...
I think probably everyone here is subbed, so no one even is seeing an ad. Whoops.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, what ad?
Yeah.
Oh, everyone's leaving. Okay, bye!
Don't buy it, people.
Because they were leaving.
Oh.
Literally, they said they have to go.
I guess everyone was.
They said they had to go.
I didn't see that everyone actually said that they had to buy.
Well, 2 people said they had to go. I shouldn't say everyone.
2 people did have to go back to back, so makes sense.
They did.
So good job from Sabera to be able to grab that space. That was some pretty clean ants play. And up 9-7. At this point in the match, every single bingo is blocked, so it's going to majority at this point. So definitely with the last 40-ish minutes of this match, both players are going to work their way through whatever goals they feel comfortable doing. Still, this is a pretty high intensity and high paced match. Shoutouts to the back-to-back puffins there. Yeah. I'm always a fan of when people are able to do ants well in bingo, because it's a fun game to know how to cheese so effectively that it's actually bingo viable. There are some levels that I'm pretty comfortable with, and then some that I'm not, so just always a fan of watching that, especially since it's one of our there's so many weather vanes. I've never seen 3 weather vanes just stacked on top of each other like that in this game to make sure that you really could control the weather however you wanted to. And then speaking of weather vanes, a little unfortunate of a landing there, but still able to get the cherry, which is going to be helpful for the center square of this game. We see the hyper contender gold disc is Alka or Sephi goal again. Kind of funny how the specific token goal showed up a couple of times this match.
Also a reminder that my room is that my home is just one big room, so it's a software. Very fair. I was like, everyone's leaving. I just saw 2 people say gotta go. And I was like,
so
everyone.
with the final portions of this match in the last half hour, Sabera is able to grab the Zoldath square to bring it within 1, and already has a little bit of diver's progress to be able to purchase Godblood. I believe Godblood offhand is like 500 gold. And already has the 335 that she needs. And coming up on the end of this game, all of the spaces that are left on the board remaining are doable, but are definitely pretty tricky. We get a yikes wild bets, which is pretty accurate. And at this point in the match, down 9-11, Sabera will need to get 3 points to be able to reclaim the lead in the next 25 minutes. And meanwhile, Scout will just need 2 to be able to close out the game. So kind of able to go in different directions here. Scout is able to go for some of the longer goals that maybe she knows she can do, but maybe just needs a little bit of time to be able to do. And Sabera at this point basically needs a sniper to be able to get back into the game to tie it up, as well as executing almost all these goals on the very first shot. And while Wild Bets does allow you to bet unlimited money each round, you still have to be careful and like win the rounds and stuff. I think Sabera doing the good strat of waiting until there is a high odds quibble to be able to bet on, but you still definitely have to like be careful about playing around enemy AI and speed and stuff. And like with Aure, for instance, he's never gonna trip, so just a tough goal in general. The Quibble Race Cherry Disc is sometimes a little bit more lenient than having 25k. Sometimes you get really lucky and you're just able to basically get 25k in like 2 bets, but after getting a Tactics, we do get to see the head-to-head in Quibble. Quibble Race is, in my opinion, the game that's gone through the biggest Season 3 facelift, because you used to never see Quibble Race in like anything. And now I think Quibble Race has shown up as like an important space in more than like, it feels like half the games this season, honestly.
They don't like being told the truth.
So for those that haven't played Quibble Race, basically you just got to bet on quibbles and try to hinder other quibbles or boost your own. Normally you have a cap on how much you can actually bet until the final round, but Wild Bets removes that cap, so theoretically you can just keep like exponentially gaining money here. Having 25k in this mode is definitely more obtainable, because you can kind of see Scout just building it up the old-fashioned way of just like getting 1-to-1 odds and just having kind of infinite amounts of money already. And gets the 25k right there, and the majority win. So very well played game by both players. There was a lot of good back and forth in that game, a lot of very efficiently completed goals. And yeah, I feel like anytime you see a 13-9 game in any tier, it's a sign of 2 players that definitely know what they're doing and are just able to knock out spaces while getting good synergy, while having good races. Really, really good game, really fun game. And yeah, thanks for playing. Okay. 2 more games of C2. We have Flannel Cat versus Prez J Pope. Flannel Cat was able to pick up the 12-3 bingo win, so we'll go ahead and see how that happened here.
Depends if there's a test at the end. I mean,
so right away, worth it for both players to hop into Pilot Quest. There's 3 Pilot Quest bases on this board, 2 of which are pretty fast and 1 of which is still pretty fast. We see Cat stay in for a little bit longer to get 3 seeds before popping in for double camp or triple camp 2 or camp 3 synergy. Most likely just gonna be Galbrain, but I guess theoretically could be staying in for stage D stuff. It does have a lot of synergy with Campanola Trilogy, like we've mentioned before. And meanwhile, Prez J is going to be going through Seaside Drive to beat stage 2 for the center square.
Like, your job could actually have some hard ones, I feel like.
So shout out to Zachary for doing all these C2 write-ups, because I would be pretty lost otherwise.
I've never done any that are actually hard.
So we do see Cat mark off stage A boss, and we do see that Cat's actually staying in. There is pretty good synergy to stay in for Camp 3 if she really wants to, but definitely very early into a match, it's kind of hard to justify that when there's so many other quick spaces on the board.
But I've definitely been able to pass tests at the end of those things.
Pretty fun to have a board with Campanella Trilogy and then also the Campanella 2 and Campanella 3 very hards. It's a very camp heavy board, especially with defeat a boss in 6 games on this card. You guys are like half taken care of just by doing Camp Trilogy. So Pres J is going to be working on Mooncat to begin to push that diagonal bingo, and meanwhile Cat is going to just seal up Campanella Trilogy since she's already pretty far along on that.
Oh, we're just talking about these in general now.
So now up 3-2. Cat does have some pretty significant pilot quest progress. Invited a friend, has the meat shack. Is going to try to defeat Ontomi now. Meanwhile, Pres J is going to be working on Caramel, which I didn't actually see on this card. But seeing the diagonal threat forming, Pres J is going to hop into Lazy Cops to try to beat Root Around. Pres J does see that Flannel at this point has pilot quest progress, but maybe Pres J unfortunately doesn't have enough to be able to push that right now. Cat meanwhile has all the incentive to try to block that diagonal bingo and maintain the rest of progress. Is able to grab the 2 teleporters and her first attempt out and then return with max meat and 600 seconds, which is always really nice to be able to defeat Ontomi. We've seen that Ontomi can kind of give players a hard time before, so even 600 seconds is not guaranteed, as we see there. I would argue that Ontomi is one of the hardest bosses in Pilot Quest for sure. Not necessarily because of like her attacks or anything, although her like landing on you does like 60 seconds of damage, and it's pretty easy for her to get on top of you and like kind of wombo combo you a bit. But being able to trap you without moving is definitely a tough one. Meanwhile, we do have some good double synergy here or a double synergy potential with a Waldorf Cherry Disc and a Waldorf 50 Shells at once, since those pretty much overlap perfectly. I feel so bad. I see Goose just like raging at the chat. I'm just like, why do I make guides for Rock On? I will learn your guides for Rock On, Goose. I just need to actually have time to chill and play bingo, which I considered doing after this recap today, but I want to chill and play some Pokemon for a little bit because it's been like a few months since I've done that. Although the Pokemon run is UFO 50 nickname themed, so it's not like I'm getting too far away from UFO 50 anyway. But we do see that Cat's starting to push multiple bingos with 2 squares. The column 2 and row 4 are both pretty threatening here, which is allowing PresJ to work through Oasis. It's not like a... Oh. Unfortunately, I say work through Oasis, but did take the big hit there that ended up taking a lot of time. And had PresJ been able to block that, it would have been 7-3 with Cat, like most of Cat's bingos being fine. But down 7-2 with a column 2, a row 4, a column 1, a row 4, a row 1, and a column 5 bingo. PresJ is basically just at the point of just trying to grab spaces to kind of stop the bingo threats as much as he can here. And meanwhile, Cat is able to push whatever bingo line she wants to push the most. And given the way the board fell out here, it looks like that was the column 5. So Cat working her way through the you good?
Yep, just throwing shit on accident.
Oh, okay. So Cat unfortunately having to take a 5th recovery in this Rakshasa minigame is not ideal because you're pretty weak to the boss at that point. We do get a Yowza in the terminal chat.
Oh, it was the boner.
And now up 8-2, Cat has pretty much whatever bingo line she feels like going for here to have at her disposal. After a little bit of Nightmare, we do see an eventual return to Pilot Quest. Now that the meat has built back up again, Cat's just going to go ahead and take her time, kill Big Boral, get the refresh, maybe some extra meat along the way. And with the advantage of the teleporters that she had set up earlier in the game, thanks to that other goal, able to reach Untomi's lair pretty quickly, does the correct strategy of just taking out all those baby spiders. I see a lot of players leave those baby spiders around and just try to take out Untomi, but as you can tell, even at 4x speed, it takes a lot of hits to be able to kill Untomi. Here we see Flannel Cat open up Camouflage to be able to start to push the top row bingo. We are able to get pretty far into Formelda. This is a new goal this season where you basically have a level select code available, but you're able to run around and get like a bunch of collectibles. Oh yeah, you have to show off all the Cammy stuff too.
Oh yeah. Cammy got me a bunch of stuff for my birthday too, as if she didn't already send me cake.
So PresJ is able to grab the Camp 3 6 upgrades goal. Definitely a very tricky goal because it requires a lot of in-depth Camp 2 play. Unfortunately not able to grab the gold disc as well, and just backs out to Waldorf to hopefully get a double play here and stop the column 1 bingo and get the cherry disc. Unfortunately for PresJ, Waldorf ends up kind of just being their home for the rest of the game. After Flannel Cat is able to get Formelda and use Camouflage to get 8 levels, we see her hop back into Camp 3. Cat is at this point pushing for the bingo and is just going to try to do the Camp 3 very hard. Thankfully, you only have to earn 2 star waves, but unthankfully, it is all the way in stage D. So Presj is going to be trying to work through Waldorf, while Kat just eventually makes her way through gets the 0% in stage C, has 4 continues to get the 0% in stage D. Definitely a good call to just do stage 4 pacifist in my opinion, since you're already kind of dodging a lot in this phase anyway. And there you go. In an hour 17, Kat was able to grab a majority win and a bingo. Definitely some pretty scary pressure put on all game. Presj got a little unlucky with that Oasis death, and then unfortunately just wasn't able to come back from there. But a very, very solid game by Flannel Cat. And a good job by Presj to block those bingos for as long as he could. Alright, final game of week 2. We have Amon versus Wizard.exe. Wizard was able to pick up a 12-6 majority win over Amon, so let's go ahead and watch how that happened and finish up week 2 of UFO 50 Bingo. And then as a heads up after this, I was planning on doing some bingo practice, but we're going to chill and play some Renegade Platinum instead. I've been working on a hardcore Nuzlocke of that for a while. So if that sounds fun, feel free to stick around after this upcoming break after this. So starting off with Amon versus Wizard, we have an early Vanger into early Zoldath double play from both players. Wizard able to grab the pause skip in Vanger here to basically despawn everything in this upper part, and then come back and grab this for an extra item, and then come back up here on the final part for a third item.
I'm probably very behind on that channel.
Even as someone who doesn't super know Vanger that well, to collect 3 items goals really fast.
Very behind.
And we see pretty much equally quickly Amon is able to grab the 4 energy cubes goal in Zoldath, and then collect 2 of each resource after a pretty quick run and a fortunate upgrade for the rare resources there. And gonna play through for a little bit longer. We do see the dodge of damage there, which is always really nice.
Jelly did you use?
And meanwhile, Wizard doing a good job of working his way through Kick Club to have 5 extra lives.
Oh yeah, we keep our eternal
I mentioned earlier in this cast that 5 extra lives is a Season 1 cursed goal that honestly Season 2 and Season 3 players have seemed to have almost no problem with, so...
I can only eat strawberries.
Tied 2-2. Amon is gonna play a little bit of Rock On. Rock On is one of the 3 games available for Revolutionary. It's also theoretically somewhat fast for at least 2 levels. I guess not necessarily 4 levels. But it is also a boss on this card if you're able to defeat the mammoth at the end of each stage. Meanwhile, Wizard's able to get through World 2 of Hit Club to get the gift.
I'm kind of slowly but surely moving things around. You can't see that I'm doing anything, but I am. Guess I can put it on here so you can kind of see what I'm doing.
So, while Wizard was able to finish up Kit Club, Amon's working his way through to get the boss and level in Rock On. gonna play through. So not super typical to be able to see Rock On as like a multi-level goal in a game. But I think after the start of that level, maybe it didn't go as well as Amon was hoping. Decides to just pivot out from there. And meanwhile, Wizard is working through Alphazar's Hat to defeat a boss and get an extra life. And that extra life will also be a gift, which will also have some pretty good synergy elsewhere.
I guess before I start doing anything with any of this, with all the stuff I got from Cammy yesterday.
So eventually both Wizard and Amon are able to grab their Waldorf and Onion Delivery goals that they were working on. Amon also has the double synergy of trying to get 50 shells before entering the palace. Wizard at this point kind of just staying in for the extra level, I would assume.
This one is a cute little plastic bag. And this one is a little like, it's not like canvas, but I don't know. This was in a blind box. Working girl kitty.
So now up 4-3 and having blocked that diagonal bingo, Amon is going to spend some time in Avianos, trying to win a custom fledgling campaign with the settings that are listed there. Basically just makes it so you actually have to like play Avianos and don't just get to like cheese your enemy into a like walk with the mountains and stuff, which I think is pretty fun. Avianos is a game this season that has been underplayed, I would say, even as someone who's maybe like not great at Avianos themselves. Avianos is like one of the least completed games this season with VODs and stuff, so it's good to see that players are still pushing for it here.
And then not only did she get me this cute little pen bag.
How did that bomber bird win? It was like that one bomber bird versus the world, and somehow that one bomber ended up winning.
These three. We got Kiki and Lala, Hiromi, and my Melody on the pens.
So I'm unlikely tabbing out a bunch in this, if you're wondering why the window keeps sliding over to the side. But unfortunately not able to win in that match, so during that time Wizard is able to grab that elf hat goal and then move into Waldorf to try to grab the cherry goal, basically.
You might be paused as a little bit, that's adorable. Anyway, very cute. Wait, it might be two pencils.
So unfortunately for Amon, this is a pretty typical showcase of what Avianos can do in a bingo match, where it feels like it's a pretty fast goal, but then you look at the timer and you've ended up spending like 20 minutes on this goal because the AI just decided to be kind of mean after nowhere.
Very pokey.
Avianos is a game that like casually I really enjoy playing, but bingo is a pretty tough one to justify a lot of the time. Amon is eventually able to grab that, and then we end up having a bit of a boss's race here with about 50 minutes left on the timer. If Wizard is able to block this, that blocks the main bingo threat, and then if Amon is able to do this, it basically forces an Antarctica race. Unfortunately for Amon, he only has one game of, or one boss period, whereas Wizard currently has 5 and is about to get 6 here in Star Wasper Wave 2, and is also going to get some pretty good synergy with Score 50k points. Gold, theoretically, if you're like perfect in stage 1, you can get at the end of stage 1, but typically you get at the end of stage 2 here. And this combining with the synergy that Wizard had gotten earlier in the game with bosses is going to make it close for Amon, but means the Wizard is able to grab that. And unfortunately, with that time investment, it can be kind of hard to come back sometimes. And I think at this point in the match, even though it was 7-5, there was like a decent amount of time that was unfortunately had to be spent along the way there. So Amon's going to be working through Hyper Contender for draft mode, and Wizard is going to be working on Bushido Ball to win 3 games as Tomoe. Even though he's playing as Raizo. It's fine. So Amon doing a good job of identifying the quick goals that are on the card, even if they are kind of hard here. Trying to do the pin golf very hard is at least basically just speedrunning pin golf a lot of the time. It is kind of a tricky goal anyway, though, because the par requirements in pin golf are pretty brutal sometimes. That was a nice dunk. So up 9-6. Wizard isn't really directly threatening any of his own bingos, but he is going to just try to claim some quick spaces here. Try to get 15 kills by the end of day 4 of Bug Hunter, while Amon is attempting to get through pin golf. The cherry disc portion of this isn't really the hard part, because if you're completing the second half of the goal, you're normally cherrying anyway. But not going over par on more than 2 holes is pretty tight, and as you can see there, it can fall apart pretty quickly, so understandable to have to back out there. And meanwhile, with the synergy that Wizard's been able to have with all of his squares also lining up with generals, even though the players are doing a pretty good job of going back and forth here, Wizard's kind of just pulling away, up 10-6. And then up 11-6. And at this point in the game, Wizard can either go for the pin golf very hard for a bingo, or pivot somewhere else if this ends up not working out for him. Given that this... Yeah, so we see from the final board result that this was a good play from Wizard to try to go for, but unfortunately just goes over par and isn't able to get it. Wizard pivots to trying to get the column 1 bingo instead of the column 2 bingo. And at this point, Amon is just trying to mark off spaces to clear out some extra synergy. Amon does have good synergy here for what it's worth, having beaten 4 out of 5 levels in Revolutionary, and theoretically able to beat Antarctica as the 5th level of Revolutionary. It would still bring it 11-8, so unfortunately it's a little too late for that kind of synergy, but a good double play nonetheless. And with 1 minute left, Wizard is able to get the 12th square, but then they just call it from there, because obviously nothing else is getting done in 1 minute, and Wizard is able to pick up a 12-6 win. So good, honestly, back and forth game. I think the final score ended up having Wizard kind of run away with it at the end, but especially the first half of that game, it was really neck and neck, and both players were kind of just exchanging goals and pushing each other to do different stuff. Wizard's early synergy for bosses ended up helping out quite a lot once this bingo line formed. And then a couple of attempts at pin golf for him on more than Wizard ended up kind of giving just enough of a gap to keep going there. So, and with that, we have finished week 2. As a reminder, these stats that we have for the tracker here are pulling from any game that has a VOD linked on UFO50.bingo. So if you have a match of yours that should have a goal on here that hasn't been represented yet, it's because that VOD hasn't been updated. So as we can see here, Avianos is far and away in last place as like the least represented or played or completed game in bingo. I think that's pretty understandable. Followed by Disconia, Zoldath, Mortal 1, Big Bell Race, Star Wasper, Combat Ants, Pin Golf somehow. Like even with Pin Golf goals being harder this season, I think Pin Golf being this low in the same like tier of completion as like Combat Ants and Star Wasper is pretty wild to me personally. But like the rest of this stuff makes sense, like Combat Ants, Party House, Ninpeck, Caramel, Fistel. Fistel is pretty fast, but if you're not like a speedrunner at Fistel, it can be pretty tough to get it going. And then as we get to the top of the list up here, Cyberells and Seaside, excuse me, are new league leaders for goals completed this season. At least that have a VOD linked, which would not have been in my like top. Cyberells maybe, because Cyberells has a lot of stuff that you can do at once and they're all pretty fast, but Seaside definitely wouldn't have been in my like top 20 guesses, I would say. Of one of the most completed goals of the season. Like all of the other games up in this top portion make sense because they're all pretty fast and or consistent and or just synergize really well with stuff. But Seaside got a glow up this season for sure. And then looking at the goals that are actually completed that match this thing, I did a quick identifier just to kind of run through some of the goals and see which goals in our game data have been completed the most. And people have been blocking in this season. This counts every instance of Worm 1, 2, 3, 4. So it counts the easy, medium, hard, and very hard together. People have surprisingly been playing Rock On more than I expected. Rock On is a game that is definitely can be pretty fast for bingo, but is not one that I've really seen players go for all the time. So I was surprised to see the numbers for that this high. And then Warp Tank, Slim Tank just beating sectors makes sense. This Mooncat goal makes sense. Cyberells just beat any level makes sense. Camp Trilogy being up this high, as we've seen from other boards, definitely makes sense because there's just a lot of good synergy between Camp Trilogy and just playing Campanella 1, 2, and 3 on a board normally. Win 3 games in Hotfoot, score 1k points in Survival. Shoutouts to our most completed Very Hard of the season by games logged. Doesn't get all the way down until the 70s apparently. Damn. 80s? Where are the Very Hards? They're all the way down here. The most completed Very Hard of the season is Squivel Ray's Cherry Disc, which feels about right, because that game has shown up everywhere. And Magic Garden score of 50k. Hyper Contender Gold Disc on harder difficulty, or harder hyper. And Overbold Cherry are our top Very Hards of the season so far. Okay, so we have an ad break coming up, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to probably take like a proper break, mute the mic, switch over for Pokemon Platinum, specifically Renegade Platinum, if anyone knows that hack. It's been very fun. We've been working on a hardcore Nuzlocke of it, off and on, for like a year and a half or like 2 years now or something like that, so I would like to wrap it up at some point. We haven't touched it in like 3 months, and I loaded up the save today and was flabbergasted at some of the Pokemon I had, which is probably not a good sign. That means we haven't played in forever, so we'll figure it out when we get back. Thank you everyone who has been here for UFO 50. We'll be back later.